Finite and non-finite forms of verbs. A verb, which is limited by the number and person of its subject, is called a finite verb. For example, the girl is swimming. Here, the verb is swimming is limited by the number and person of its subject, girl. The verb is swimming is in the present continuous tense, and the main verb, swimming, takes the helping verb, is, to form the continuous tense. These verbs are called finite verbs. Finite and non-finite forms of verbs. A non-finite verb is that which is derived from a verb, but has no subject, and, therefore, is not limited by the number and person of any noun or pronoun. For example, 1. The girl wants to swim. 2. I found the girl swimming. 3. Swimming is good for health. In the above examples, the verbs to swim and swimming are not limited by the number and person of any subject. They have no tenses, and therefore do not take any helping verbs to form tenses. These verbs are called non-finite verbs. Finite and non-finite forms of verbs. Non-finite verbs are derived from verbs and have certain features of the verb, but they have no subject. They may function as a noun, adjective, or adverb. The non-finite verb, to swim, example 1 in previous slide, is called an infinitive. The non-finite verb, swimming, example 2 in previous slide, is called a participle. The non-finite verb, swimming, example 3 in previous slide, is called a gerund. The infinitive. An infinitive is a non-finite verb, which is generally preceded by to, and is used like a noun, adjective, or adverb. The infinitive consists of two words, to, plus, verb. But after certain verbs and expressions, the infinitive is used without to, and is called a bare infinitive. There are two kinds of infinitives. 1. Noun infinitive. 2. Qualifying infinitive. Noun infinitive. The noun infinitive is used like a noun, 1. As the subject of a verb. For example, to err is human. To err is the subject of the verb, is. To solve this question is difficult. To solve is the subject of the verb, is. To. As an object of a transitive verb. For example, they like to play cricket. To play is the object of the verb, like. Suomarna wanted to do her homework. To do is the object of the verb, wanted. 3. As the complement of a verb. For example, he seems to be mad. To be mad is the complement of the verb, seems. Her greatest pleasure is to sing. To sing is the complement of the verb, is. Noun infinitive. 4. As the object of a preposition. For example, she is about to go. To go is the object of the preposition about. She had no choice but except to obey. To obey is the object of the preposition but. 5. As an object complement. For example, I saw her go. Go is the complement of the object, her. I found her weeping. Weeping is the complement of the object, her. Qualifying infinitive. The qualifying infinitive may be used. 1. To qualify a noun, like an adjective. For example, give me a chair to sit. To sit qualifies the noun, chair. This is a thing to admire. To admire qualifies the noun, thing. 2. To qualify a verb, like an adverb, usually to express purpose. For example, I came to see you. To see qualifies the verb, came. These boys are going to play a match. To play qualifies the verb going. Qualifying infinitive. 3. To qualify an adjective, like an adverb. For example, the book is nice to read. To read qualifies the adjective nice. This picture is beautiful to look at. To look qualifies the adjective beautiful. 4. To qualify a sentence. For example, to tell the truth, he cannot be depended on. To be frank, I don't like her. When the infinitive is used to qualify a noun, verb, or adjective, it is called a gerundial infinitive. Bare infinitives. In certain cases, to is omitted before the infinitives. The bare infinitive is used. 1. After certain verbs, let, make, bid, need, dare, help, please, see, hear, watch, know, feel, observe, etc. For example, the police will not let the thief escape. Using to escape is incorrect. The teacher made him do the work again. Using to do is incorrect. Please go there. Using to go is incorrect. I heard her cry with pain. Using to cry is incorrect. Note. Observe the use of the infinitive with dare and need in the following examples. 1. He dared to disobey the laws. He dared not disobey the laws. 2. You need to go there. You need not go there. It should be clear that to is retained in positive sentences but dropped in negative sentences. Bare infinitives. 2. After helping verbs. For example, the boy may go. May is a helping verb. He shall work. Shall is a helping verb. 3. After, but, and after, than, in the sense of except. For example, she did nothing but except cry. Using to cry is incorrect. He is better able to argue than work. Using to work is incorrect. 4. After, had better, had rather, would rather, sooner than, etc. For example, he had better ask permission. I would rather starve than work in such a place. Split infinitives. When an adverb separates to from the rest of the infinitive, it is a split infinitive. For example, it is difficult to correctly give the answer. Correctly separates to from give. The thief tried to secretly open the chest. Secretly separates to from open. He would like to actually come here. Actually separates to from come. She began to gradually recuperate. Gradually separates to from recuperate. Forms of infinitives. The different forms of the infinitives are given in the table. For example, there is a lot to be done. Present passive. I am sorry to have torn the book. Perfect active. He is believed to be living in Paris. Present continuous. He pretended to have been studying. Perfect continuous. Correct usage of infinitives. 1. An infinitive will typically always start with to and be followed by the simplest form of a verb. Since an infinitive is not actually a verb, you are not able to add s, es, ed, or ing to the ending. For example, they like to play cricket. Not, they like to playing cricket. 2. The to infinitive is used quite often with adverbs, to, and enough. For example, he was too tired to play. He is old enough to make his own decisions. 3. Follow the verbs, ask, explain, decide, know, forget, show, tell, and understand, by a question word like, where, what, how, who, and when, plus the to infinitive. For example, she asked me how to use the computer. Correct usage of infinitives. 4. Verbs that need to be followed by an infinitive: agree, decide, deserve, expect, hope, learn, need, offer, plan, promise, seem, wait, want, remember, swear, consent, neglect, refuse, purpose, try, endeavor, attempt, fail, care, hesitate, prepare, determine, undertake, manage, arrange, forget, regret, etc. For example, schools endeavor to teach students to be good citizens. I promise to stop yelling. 5. Verbs such as order, tell, invite, oblige, allow, permit, compel, teach, instruct, advise, tempt, encourage, urge, request, show, remind, forbid, warn, etc. are followed by an object, an infinitive. For example, the principal instructed the students to bring their parents. He told me to come here. Correct usage of infinitives. 6. Verbs or expressions like will, can, do, must, may, let, make, bid, need, dare, help, please, see, hear, watch, know, feel, observe, etc. are followed by infinitive without to. For example, the police will not let the thief escape. The teacher made him do the work again. 7. Expressions like would rather, would sooner, rather than, had better, are followed by infinitive without to. For example, he had better ask permission. I would rather starve than work in such a place. Correct usage of infinitives. 8. Infinitive without to is used after, but, and after, than, in the sense of except. For example, she did nothing but except cry. He is better able to argue than work. 9. Infinitive is not used with to after verbs of perception like see, hear, feel, watch, etc. For example, I saw her cross the road. She heard him go upstairs. 10. The infinitive is used after adjectives like delight, angry, glad, astonished, surprised, horrified, disappointed, etc. For example, I was astonished to find her at the party. I was horrified to see him in that condition. Correct usage of infinitives. 11. Avoid using split infinitives. Wrong. She planned to not go on a vacation this year. Correct. She planned not to go on a vacation this year. The participle. A word, which is like a verb, but performs the work of an adjective, is called a participle. For example, nobody could enter the burning building. Seeing the police, the thief ran away. Participles are of 3 kinds. 1. Present participle. Verb, plus ing. For example, seeing, finishing, drowning. 2. Past participle. 3rd form of the verb. For example, seen, finished, drowned. 3. Perfect participle. Having, plus 3rd form of the verb. For example, having seen, having finished, having drowned. The present participle. The present participle is formed by adding ing to the first form of the verb. The present participle describes an incomplete action or state. For example, nobody could enter the burning building. The process of burning continues. The present participle is active in form. The present participle may be used 1. As an adjective, placed before the noun it qualifies. For example, he jumped out of the moving bus. The present participle, moving, qualifies the noun, bus. 2. As an object complement, placed after the object, noun, or pronoun. For example, we saw the sun rising. The present participle, rising, is the complement of the noun object, sun. He kept me waiting. The present participle, waiting, is the complement of the pronoun object, me. The present participle. 3. As a subject complement, placed after verbs like be, seem, appear, etc. For example, the long journey is tiring. 4. As an adjective phrase, generally put after the noun it qualifies. For example, the book lying on the table is mine. Lying on the table is an adjective phrase, qualifying the noun, book. 5. To express an earlier action, or one of the actions of the same subject. For example, seeing the police, the thief ran away. Seeing the police is an earlier action of the subject, thief. The past participle. The past participle usually ends in ed, d, t, e, n, or n. For example, injured, tired, burnt, broken, seen. The past participle denotes an action, or state, which is completed. For example, a burnt child dreads the fire. If the past participle is formed from a transitive verb, it is passive in form. For example, the glass was broken. The past participle may be used. 1. As an adjective, placed before the noun it qualifies. For example, he was wearing a torn shirt. The past participle, torn, qualifies the noun, shirt. 2. As an object complement, placed after the object, noun, or pronoun. For example, he had his shoes cleaned. The past participle, cleaned, is the complement of the object, shoes. The past participle. 3. As a subject complement, placed after verbs like be, seem, appear, etc. For example, the man seems worried. The past participle, worried, is the complement of the subject, man. 4. As an adjective phrase, generally put after the noun it qualifies. For example, books, read in childhood are forgotten. Adjective phrase, read in childhood, qualifies the noun, books. 5. To express an earlier action of the same subject. For example, beaten by the enemy, the soldiers fled. Beaten by the enemy is an earlier action of the soldiers. The past participle. 6. To form the passive voice. Be plus past participle equals passive voice. For example, a bridge is being built. 7. To form the perfect tense. For example, they have already forgotten their promises. Perfect participle. Participles formed by addition of having been, placed before a past participle of a verb, are perfect participles. For example, having heard the lecture, we returned home. Having been examined, I came back. Having completed his work, he went to sleep. The perfect participle represents an action, as having completed at some past time. Forms of participle. Different forms of the participle are shown in the table. For example, 1. Being dissatisfied, he resigned from his job. Present participle in passive form. 2. Having traveled the whole day, we felt very tired. Perfect participle in active form. 3. Having been educated in USA, the man soon got a job in India. Perfect participle in passive form. Correct usage of participles. The present participle acts as an adjective in an adjectival phrase. Keep the participial phrase as near as possible to the noun or pronoun it qualifies. The noun or pronoun must be clearly stated. For example, 1. Going there, a horrible thing could be seen. Incorrect. Going there, I could see a horrible thing. Correct. 2. Being a very cold day, I did not go out. Incorrect. Yet being a very cold day, I did not go out. Correct. 3. Working in the field, a snake bit her. Incorrect. Working in the field, she was bitten by a snake. Correct. While she was working in the field, a snake bit her. Correct. Correct usage of participles. There are certain sentence patterns in usage where the participles are left alone, without any noun or pronoun of reference. For example, 1. Assuming. If one assumes that she is in the wrong, there is nothing that we can do. 2. Roughly speaking. If one speaks roughly, there were 500 people in the auditorium. 3. Considering. If one considers all these points, the woman could be excused. The participle in such constructions is called an impersonal absolute. These sentences are also correct. The gerund. A gerund is a non-finite verb, which ends in ing, and works like a noun. For example, reading is a good habit. The gerund is used like a noun. 1. As the subject of a verb. For example, swimming is a good sport. Swimming is the subject of the verb, is. 2. As the object of a verb. For example, I love teaching the girls. Teaching is the object of the verb, love. 3. As the complement of a verb. For example, my favorite hobby is gardening. Gardening is the complement of the verb, is. The gerund. 4. As the object of a preposition. For example, he is fond of playing cards. Playing is the object of the preposition, of. 5. In apposition to a pronoun. For example, it is no use crying. Crying defines it. Gerund and infinitive. Both the infinitive and the gerund are non-finite verbs that work like nouns. 1. In some cases, either of them could be used with the same meaning. A. Both the gerund and infinitive can be used as the subject of a verb. For example, cooking is an art. To cook is an art. B. Both the gerund and infinitive can be used as the object of a verb. For example, she loves making dolls. She loves to make dolls. Gerund and infinitive. 2. In some cases, both can be used with a different shade of meaning. For example, A. She loves dancing. General statement. She loves to dance with me. More definite. B. You must remember writing to him a year back. Past. You must remember to write to him tomorrow. Future. Gerund and infinitive. 3. In some cases, only one of them could be used. A. Only the gerund is used after a preposition. For example, Aparna is good at painting. I objected to meeting him. B. Only the gerund is used after a possessive. For example, she hates my coming late at night. I will mind your leaving so early. Gerund and present participle. Both the gerund and present participle look alike, formed from a verb with ing ending, but Gerund functions like a noun, while present participle functions like an adjective. Study the examples in the table to understand the difference between a gerund and a present participle. Forms of the gerund. Different forms of the gerund are shown in the table. For example, 1. Everybody is desirous of being praised. Present passive form. 2. We heard of her having won a prize. Perfect active form. 3. There was a news of him having been lost in the jungle. Perfect passive form. Correct use of the gerund. 1. When an action is being considered in general sense, gerund is used as subject. For example, walking is a good exercise. 2. Gerund is used as a subject to show prohibitions. For example, smoking is prohibited. 3. A gerund showing physical activity is put after come or go. For example, she's to go shopping. Come fishing with us. 4. If there is a sense of dislike, hesitation, risk, etc. in a sentence, use gerund. For example, I dislike reading romantic novels. She hesitates singing in the company of her friends. Correct use of the gerund. 5. Verbs such as help, stop, detest, avoid, finish, dread, mind, prevent, dislike, risk, deny, recollect, no good, no use, resent, delay, postpone, defer, enjoy, forgive, pardon, excuse, suggest, etc. are followed by a gerund. For example, I can't help thinking that you are hiding something. It is no good repenting now. 6. A gerund is placed after a preposition. But the prepositions except and but are followed by an infinitive. For example, I am tired of cooking. She is good at painting.